Welcome back to America Decides. The administration keeps indicating that we should see some trade deals in the near future. One of the many countries looking for a deal is Indonesia. And the chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Anindya Bakrie, is here with me now. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for having me here. It's an honor.
So your Indonesian delegation, government officials, business leaders like yourself are here in Washington to hold one of the many trade deals that is being sought. How many days has this been going on, and how's it going?
Well, first of all, since so-called Liberation Day, Indonesia has been busy to think about how to do the right deal between the two countries, right? To be clear, I'm coming from the business sector, Indonesian Chambers of Commerce. Having said that, we are the strategic partner of Indonesian government. And I know Indonesian government had good meetings with their counterparts over here. And when I look at the numbers, Nancy, I think a deal can be struck, I think, within the time frame, right?
What is the time frame? You mean within the 90 days?
90 days, July 9, I think. That's what they're talking about. So Indonesia has surplus in trade with the U.S., about $18 billion. Right? Having said that, at the same time, Indonesia is importing oil and gas derivatives from somewhere else, about $40 billion. So what the government is thinking to reallocate those $40 billion to address this $18 billion. So people like us in the Chambers of Commerce and Industry, whose counterparts is U.S. Chambers of Commerce, is thinking, if that reached the equilibrium in whatever the negotiation is, how can we enlarge the cake? How can we do more? The U.S. would like to sell more soybean, wheat, and cotton on top of oil and gas, I'm sure. And we would like to sell more of footwear, garment, and electronics. So in the last 2 days, I've been meeting with the stakeholders. So the National Council of Cotton, National Council of Soybean, and also dairy. On the other hand, we also see some of the buyers of our apparel, as well as footwear. We meet one company who sell from Indonesia 250 million pairs or 20 million merchandise. So that kind of things that we're doing here.
There are leaders of other countries who have said that one of the challenges as they try to hammer out these deals with the U.S. government is that it's hard sometimes to understand exactly what the president is trying to accomplish from these deals. Sometimes it's that he doesn't want other countries to have a trade surplus. Sometimes it's that he wants more revenue from high tariffs so that he can lower income taxes. These are a variety of goals that are sometimes in conflict with one another, which makes it hard for countries like yours to figure out what kind of deal would be acceptable.
Well, when we are negotiating, of course, there are many variables, but I think the trust level between the two governments, what I see, is there. And it's important, right? And Indonesia has no enemies and has no ego. We are the seventh largest country in the world, PPP basis, but we come here trying to think about enlarging the cake of trades because we do think the current $40 billion give and take trade can double within 2 years while balancing at the same time. Now, what we're also thinking is to do co-investments with the U.S. Indonesia attract about $100 billion worth of investments. Half of it is FDI. U.S. can come and participate. Vice versa. Indonesia now has the capacity to also invest in the U.S. as long as it makes sense for us in the supply chain, right? Let me just give you some illustration. About 3 months ago, the country launched Sovereign Wealth Fund, which has AUM, asset under management, of $900 billion. And that asset is generating about $10 billion per year dividend. So we can also have the possibility of co-investments. But the most important thing, I think, the people-to-people relationship within the U.S. And Indonesia is there. My joke is that half of the cabinet in Indonesian cabinet graduated from the U.S. So the natural connection is there. So why not do a good deal on this?
I think that's what everyone wants to see. Anindya Bakrie, the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Indonesia, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much,
Good luck.
Nancy. Appreciate it.